Hey, 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 everybody, and welcome to Money Talks, Wealth Beyond Numbers podcast. And I am your host, of course, Dr. Constance Craig-Mason, and I am here with an amazing guest I've known for several years now. And I definitely want her to give you a introduction into herself before we dig into our conversation. I have Dawne Horizons here with me. I'm super excited. Woohoo! If you just welcome the folk and let them know a little bit about yourself because we have a great conversation up ahead and I'm excited about it.
Okay. Well,
Mhm.
welcome everybody. And thank you, Dr. Constance, for this opportunity to be able to share my experience and my knowledge with your people. I definitely appreciate that. So, I'm Dawne Horizons. I am certified wellness coach, massage therapist. I love to help people get well from the inside out. And that's my motto, is making healthy disciples from the inside out.
Incredible. I haven't heard it phrased in that way, so I can't wait to dig in. On this episode, we believe that health is wealth. I tell people all the time, I am a finance person. I've been in this field for 16 plus years. Thank God, still going strong. But people are always interested in the numbers, right? How do I save for retirement? Do I prioritize my children's education versus my long term longevity? How do I get out of debt? All the things that they want to talk about numerically. But the premise of this particular podcast is that we understand that we are having a human experience as it relates to money. Yes, we need money to thrive, to pay our bills, to contribute to society. But as we're doing that, we may be experiencing some hardships in our body, in our mind, in our pocketbook. And a lot of times we're not always making the connection between our body, our mind, and how we navigate money. I've been in this field for a while now, and I've been learning statistically that there are real ties to even trauma and money. And so
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
super excited to have Dawn here because she'll be able to shed some light on how these things are interconnected, and especially for those who may be entrepreneurs and how we often are super excited to share our passions, our products, our services with the world. But sometimes when we're chasing purpose, it can get heavy and it can have a negative impact on our mind and body. And so I wanted to just delve into that a little bit as far as the idea of health being wealth. And what impact do you see or have you seen on people who are chasing revenue as it relates to their passion and how that can impact our mind, body, and business and how that looks? How would someone identify how this looks if they're negatively impacted by chasing revenue?
Wow, you really said a lot. And the point of what you said, I believe, is that we can't have financial health and stability if we don't have the physical health. So we really need a holistic approach. So it is mind, body, spirit, and finances. We have to be well within ourselves, within our mind, to even have the mindset to do the things while we're chasing purpose, to be able to stay on track, to be able to concentrate, to be able to focus. And then, our spiritual man and just having a direction and knowing what our purpose is. I deal with so many women, some men too, but they haven't yet discovered their purpose. And so there really is this holistic approach in finding yourself and finding what it is that you're supposed to be doing, aligning with that, having your body to be aligned with that so that you can experience financial health, financial freedom, and financial wealth. But it starts in the body. And so the body also, includes the soul, which is the mind, the will, and the emotions. And so this is part of the holistic approach. You can't leave out any one part because then it would be imbalanced. And as I say that, you may remember this because I think we're around the same age. Do you remember like the baby mobiles way back in the day and they had a little thing dangling? And the reason why it would keep moving is because it was always trying to find balance because the way that it was made. So it was always trying to find a balance. And that comes to my mind because I liken that to the body. The body is always trying to find balance. And the medical term for that is a homeostasis. So
Mm.
our body is always looking for a homeostasis. So if we're stressed about money, about job, about business, about family, or whatever it is that we're stressed about, it releases a hormone called cortisol.
Yes.
Cortisol is a stress hormone, also known as the death hormone. And
Ooh.
so when this hormone comes on, it's supposed to help and work with adrenaline and help us with the fight or fight response. The problem with that is when you're in a prolonged state of stress, marital problems, divorce, issues with the children in school, finances not looking well in the business, and just whatever those major stresses are. Now it's taking care of parents and loved ones and all of these different things, and you're trying to balance. That's that homeostasis. And oftentimes when this is prolonged, the body is not finding a homeostasis. So the
Mm.
fight or flight response is supposed to be like, "Oh, there's a bear. Let me run and get away." And then when you get to safety, your body is like, I can relax. And you kind of get back to normal. But in these different circumstances that I've mentioned, like taking care of family or marital problems, divorce, things like that, it is a prolonged state of stress. So your body doesn't get back to that safe mode or safe zone quickly. The cortisol stays high and it stays on, so it goes beyond the fight or flight response. And now it begins to wear at the various other responses in your body. And you have a weakened immune system, or you're not able to handle stress properly. That can end up in digestive issues, elimination issues, brain, not being able to focus, brain fog, and things of that nature. So it is a direct correlation, whatever it is that we're going on in life, affecting our body and then thereby affecting our finances.
Now, let me add, I love that. I love everything you said because I had been battling this cortisol constantly in this state of hypervigilance,
Mhm.
always in this state of having to fight for something, whether it was your safety, money, your family, just always feeling like, you can't rest, right? And as an entrepreneur, there are a lot of us who are, what do they say? You eat what you kill, right? In the aspect of sales. So it's
Mhm.
like, okay, well, most people that are in commission based or sales based environments, you have cortisol nearly all day because you don't know which of these people that you come across who could be your next client. And you have this anxiety, you have this, I got to constantly be on, I got to constantly put my best foot forward. And it doesn't always allow you to reach that homeostasis. So when
Mhm.
we talked about chasing revenue or chasing purpose, I often find that people are like, well, I'll sleep when I die. What's your perspective on that?
Wow. Again, another mouthful because I have said that,
Mhm.
but I understand balance, and that's very important. A lot of people think like it's not possible. I'm wearing so many hats. I have, so many irons in the fire. It's not really possible for balance, but I want to tell you that it is. It's not easy to get to, but it is possible. And for some of your listeners, viewers, that may be helpful in even knowing that yes, it is possible. It may take you a road to get there and figuring it all out. And that's why they use a financial coach like you or a holistic health coach like me to help them to navigate these various nuances so that they can come into balance. But
Mm.
I would say that, wow.
Listen, I've heard it. It was such a thing where people was like, I'm in grind mode.
Yeah,
And like, when do we get out of that? You know what I mean? Like systems and processes help, right?
absolutely. Automation, all of that
Expertise
helps.
helps.
Yes.
Automation helps. Like all of these things. But when you're a solo practitioner, provider, you're a solo, what do you call soul prop and all these,
Solopreneur.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you're wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
You're
So
wearing
I'll speak to
admin
that
hats.
for a
And
moment.
yeah,
I'll
please.
speak to your audience who may be that solopreneur because I'm also a solopreneur. And so the thing is, you have to learn when to, if you can't turn it off, turn it down, because I did a podcast a couple of years ago about sleep, and there's a crazy statistic. I'll try to remember it as best I can, but the gist of it is that there are more crashes and accidents by people falling asleep at the wheel than by people being drunk at the wheel. And when
Wow.
I saw that statistic, I was floored. And
Yeah.
we put a lot of emphasis in that, and that is important, right? With drunk drivers and things like that. But how many people are driving sleepy,
Correct.
tired? So this happens. And so sleep is very important. And when we are deprived of sleep, we are making our cortisol levels high. And so it's important to sleep. For me, I'm a person that works really well at night. And I could be kind of toiling during the day, even though I have my to-do list. For some reason, my brain is like, go time once it's like 6 o'clock in the evening. And so I've had to learn to be able to work with my body's natural cycle to be up late to get things done because I'm more productive in that time than, let's say, between 9 to 5. And so
Ooh,
because of that, I change my sleep schedule and
okay.
I make sure that my room is dark because your body, when the light is out, your body is supposed to be up and going. And so I have blackout curtains. I wear an eye mask, that when I sleep. And so I'm telling my body, this is nighttime for me. This is the time that I'm sleeping so that I can make up for that, so that I'm still getting my 6 to 7 hours. That's important. I would say power naps if you can't do that, depending on the person's work and things like that. The thing is balance and it's moderation. And so while we're working, we're grinding, we're in beast mode and all of these cliche things, trying to get things done because we're building and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're just trying to get there. We can't kill ourselves in the process. And so
Mm,
we have to take time to rest. We have to take time for ourselves personally. If you're a mom, you have to spend time with your kids. You're a wife, you have to spend time with your husband. And it could seem like, oh my God, this is just so much. How do I do this? Niche down to chunks of time, whether it's an hour,
mm.
it's a half an hour, whatever it is that a person has to do, put that in your schedule. Put it in your calendar. Because if anyone is like me, if it's not in my calendar, it's not happening.
Right.
So it's possible, it's balance, it's moderation, and it is figuring out a way that time can work for you. So chunk it down and give
Mm,
time for yourself. Put yourself on your calendar, like it was your husband, your doctor's appointment, your hair appointment, your nail appointment, whatever, and your children. So it can be done. And I think if we come to it from that mindset that this is possible, then our brain and our body will align with that thought and we'll be able to get it done, as opposed to saying, well, this is not possible. So your brain is not even trying to figure out a way to make it happen because you said it can't. So
correct.
that goes back to, if you say you can, you can. If you say you can't, you can't. So I say you can.
This is so rich. And I love how you almost began to tell us what it looks like to begin to prioritize ourselves and not just how we show up and serve in the world, but prioritizing ourselves. And so that leads me to my next question for you, which is all about the misconceptions about self care. We've seen everything on social media about how self care looks and all, but can I guess you've been in this field for probably your
20
whole
plus
adult life.
years.
I was gonna say, what are some of these common misconceptions and beliefs around self-care, and what are your personal insights? How did you come across the balance of
Okay.
self-care and implementing that?
Well, self-care kind of slapped me in the face about 16 years ago when I was going through divorce and realized that I had completely lost myself in the marriage and being all that I was, at church and admin and all of that and ministering and things. And then the children and the house and trying to run a business on the side. So it was a lot. And once I lost my MRS, it was like, who am I?
Mhm.
What am I doing now? And
Right.
we're not taught these things. And what I learned in the process is that we keep our independence, but we become interdependent when we get married. So we don't lose that. Or we're not supposed to lose that independence, because then I was trying to find myself. And I had realized for so many years, I'm trying to be, wonder wife and wonder mom, that I was depleted. I was
Mm,
tired. Mind, body, soul, and spirit. I was tired.
yeah.
And I realized then that I lost myself. And that's when I really had to start having self care and taking the time for myself. And initially, the kids were like, what are you doing, mom? Like, what do you mean you're going out? Like, where are you going? Because it had always been about them. And
Right.
so for any, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, whatever, I understand the plight. I understand wearing the so many hats and trying to figure it out. And so I figured it out. You
Okay.
have to take time for yourself because, like they tell you on an airplane, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Why do they say that? Because if you're caring for someone, but you die because you can't breathe. You can't help them. You're both going to die. That's kind of
Right.
graphic to make it raw and real. You have to
Yeah.
care for yourself to be in a position that you have something to give. And so, from the business perspective, many of us are running on empty and we're trying to give from the little bits that we have. In the financial perspective, if you don't have enough money in the bank, you're going to be overdrawn. And if you try to
Yeah.
withdraw, they may let you, but now you got fees. So now you have to pay for not having enough money in the bank. Similarly, with our body, we have to pay when we don't have enough, and we continue to give the little bit that we have to other people. And that
Mm.
looks like nervous breakdown. That
Oof.
looks like anxiety. That looks like depression. That looks like migraines. That looks like irritable bowel syndrome
Yeah.
or constipation. So it looks like so many things in our body because we're not giving our body the rest that it needs. We're not helping ourselves to come to a place of rest or homeostasis. So our body is always working. It's always in fight or flight. And anything that you constantly use and overuse, it's abuse. And so
Mm.
self-care is self-love. It's selflessness because how do you give to your children when you don't have? That looks like yelling at them for the littlest, slightest thing that they do. That looks like
Right.
having silly little arguments with your spouse or partner or business partner because you don't have the mental capacity or emotional capacity to handle anymore because you're at the edge of yourself because you haven't given yourself time. Another thing, and a lot of people don't realize this, is how we treat ourselves is how we teach others around us to treat us. And I
True.
realized that when I was, after my divorce, that being Wonder Mom and Wonder Wife, I taught them that I can go 24/7. Whatever needs to be done, I can get it done. Whatever you need, you can count on me. But who was I able to count on? So when everything
Mm.
fell to the wayside, it was like, what do I do? And so I had to rebuild, and I did. And my children learned mommy needs time. I mean, they would have been in the bathroom with me, like just all kinds of things. I was always on go. It was 24/7 mom. And it was like, no, that's crazy. I need time for me. I need time for my brain. I need time for my own little, meltdown and journaling or something just to release myself from the
Mm.
stress that I was feeling. And one of the things that I found for self-care was writing and poetry. And so now I'm a performance poet. I've been doing that for several years now. But what I realized in that process, in rediscovering myself, I have been writing since a child, like
Wow.
9 years old, writing songs, writing raps back in the day and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, wow. And what I found was that it was so healing for me. Even if nobody heard it, nobody read it, I was releasing, I'm releasing my soul in
Mm.
so that I could be free.
I
And
love it.
what I found when I get on stages and I perform this, while what I wrote was for me, when I speak it out, it's also for them. And there's always at least one person in the audience that says, that was for me. Even when I feel like, oh, I bombed. I did terrible, somebody will come up to me in the end. It's like, thank you so much for sharing that. You really helped me. And that's what it's all about. I'm trying to help myself. But in doing that, I have found that has also been a help to other people. And that's a very rewarding and fulfilling feeling. I love it.
You said so many incredible things. And I love how you were able to describe through your own experience what it looks like to be overwhelmed. What are the symptoms? Like, how is it showing up in the people that we love, in the people that we serve? Like, how are they experiencing us? Because, again, like you said, as a business owner, they are experiencing you,
Yeah,
especially if you're a solo provider, practitioner, whatever your service is. You don't want people to get a bad experience and go out and write a bad review. You could have just been having a bad moment. Not that you have bad services or bad products, but
right.
that day, like you said, you were at the edge of yourself and you gave a bad representation of yourself, which is okay because we give ourselves grace. We learn to give ourselves grace. But I love also how you mentioned about how you journal, how you do your poetry is as a release, right? That is
Yeah.
that something that could be practiced as self-care?
Absolutely. That is my self-care, is writing. I mean, for some people, self-care looks like going to get a massage, going to get your nails done, your hair done. For others, if they're in the grind, they're not trying to spend money like that, or they don't have it to spend. So I want people to know that self-care doesn't mean that you have to go out and spend a bunch of money. You don't have to go out and do it the bougie way. It's just taking time for yourself. For me, sitting by the fireplace and reading a book is self-care. It's a time away. It's a time for me. I love being by the fireplace or by the pool, by the beach. Bodies of water are just so relaxing. And come to find out, there are vitamins in the air. I don't remember the name right now, but there are vitamins in the air from the salt water and even the mix with the sand. So that's why you can get this euphoric feeling or very relaxing state of mind while you're at the beach. So there have been times, I'm in my business mindset and I'm like, okay, I'm going to the beach because I know that I can relax, but at the same time, I can be creative. And I could plan out like a
Mm,
whole year of stuff or a few months of stuff there at the beach because it's my solace. It's my safe place, my quiet place. And so my mind can be free to be creative. And so self-care looks very different for different people. It could be a hot bath, a cold bath. It could be a hot shower. If you got a bunch of kids running around, you don't have time for an hour bath. Let's just be real. But maybe
right.
that's a 15-minute shower as opposed to a 5-minute shower. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Some people don't like hot baths. I was like, "Really?" So
exactly.
whatever that means for you. And so I think it's important for people to not have to feel like they fit a mold of what people say self-care is, but what is self-care to you? Maybe it's going
Mm,
for a long scenic drive. Maybe you like nature. Maybe it's taking a walk along a trail somewhere or going boating, spending time with friends, spending time with
mm,
parents, making phone calls to people that you haven't heard from in a while. All of these things because talking to others that we love, that we care about, and having that conversation, it does something for us. It
yes.
helps us with a little dopamine, a little serotonin. It can be relaxing. It can be exciting and make you happy. And so we need to do those things. And so not only will it help us when we do those things, but it will help the others that we reach out to. So your
Mm,
self care that is supposed to be for you in the end really does help other people because you're your best self when you're full. You're your best self. When your cup is full, then you're giving from your overflow and you're not angry, quickly aggravated, agitated, frustrated, overwhelmed, and all of the things that can happen when you're operating at the edge of yourself. So give
mm,
to yourself first, even if that means 15 minutes. 15 minutes away, 20-minute power nap. Just walk outside, put your feet in the grass, and just enjoy the sunshine and go back to the desk and get back to work. It means different things for different people. And I think if they kind of open up their mind and be creative and just take a look within and say, what do I like? What makes me happy? What
mm,
do I feel good doing? Maybe it's baking a cake or cookies or you know what I mean? It doesn't have to look like spa and nails and hair. And that's great because I own a spa. So I definitely want people to
mhm.
come to the spa, but I want people to know how to take care of themselves on the days when they're not at the spa, when they're not in the nail salon. What do I do when I'm home in the midst of my chaos? Trying
Yes.
to do all of the things. What I would say to do is take a moment and pray. Put on some music, whether it's praise music, worship music, dance music, whatever. Get your little dance on for 15 minutes, shake it off, and then
Yes.
come back again, refreshed and rejuvenated. And I'm telling you that 15 minutes, because I've done it. So what I'm saying, I've lived through. It works. Just 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Because most people are like, well, I don't have time. You have 10 minutes. You do. You have 15 minutes
Yeah.
because your health depends on it. And the,
Mm,
the health of your family depends on it. And the health of your finances depends on it. What good is making all this money and you too sick to enjoy spending it?
tell it. And I love, love, love how you make this practical, that you make it intentional, and that you make it your choice. And oftentimes, especially I will throw us women under the bus because we're so everyone else focused. But
Yes,
this kind of forces you, even in the few minutes that you provide yourself, it focuses you to be self aware, right? Because what I need today might be different than what I need tomorrow or what I needed yesterday. Like you mentioned, if I need
absolutely.
that hot shower and it settles me and it calms me and it gives me a few minutes to think or not think, then that's what
Exactly.
I needed today. But tomorrow, I might need to put my feet in the sand. I might need to hear some of that water, or I might just need a nap. So I love, love, love how you say, it can be going out and looking good, smelling good, looking great. It might be that, but it might not be. And however you choose to do this is okay. You
Yes,
know, I
it's
love,
okay.
love, love that you brought that in. We have our Money Talks moment, which I
Okay.
shared with you before, where you get to pick something that at the time it might have felt like it was a challenge. It might have felt painful. It might have felt like it was a sacrifice. But later on, as you delved into it a bit more, you were able to see that it worked together for your good. And I remember you saying something about how you had vision and how your self worth came into play when you thought about it's important to invest in myself, no matter the financial sacrifices I may have had to make. And how does that open up opportunities for you when you decided to choose yourself, even though it could have been challenging at the time?
Oh, wow. There's been several instances I learned along the way in having to build myself up and change and shift my focus once I was no longer a Mrs., right? And the
Hmm.
responsibilities that I still held. What do I do? How do I navigate? How do I build a business? How do I now be a single mom? How do I now take care of myself without the help of someone else taking care of me? And so one of the things that I did was began to invest in teaching, in me being taught, like conferences and coaches to be able to help me realizing that I can't do it all and I don't know it all. And so now my support looks different. And I have to invest in that. I have to pay to be educated in these different areas. And so it was a huge sacrifice at the time. But now, some years later, I reap from that because now this education that I received and the coaching that I received, I now have to help me in my personal life, in my business life, in my family life. And now that makes me revenue because what I learned, no one can take away from me. I experienced it for myself and now I can teach it to others. And so sometimes that's not
Oh,
always coins. Sometimes it's fulfillment. Sometimes it's
yes.
rewarding in knowing that I can help someone else by sharing the things that I've been through and maybe give them a couple of strategies on how they can navigate in this process. While it's important to make revenue, we have to be mindful that we're not solely focused on that and we leave other
Mhm.
blessings by the wayside because we're money hungry. We don't want to be money hungry and we don't
Right.
want to be greedy. And that thing that we abuse, we end up repelling. And we don't want to do that. So we want to operate from an open hand. We want to operate as a giver. Okay. As a
Yeah.
believer, my father is a giver. He gives to me bountifully. So I must
Yes.
also give. However, there's a balance in that. I cannot give to my depletion. I cannot give. Now my account is withdrawn. So I have to give you, whether physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, financially, from what I have, from what
Right.
I possess. I can give you something from that. I can share with you. I'm not going to give you all. And I've been there.
Hmm.
I'm not going to give you all. I'm going to give you some of what I have to help you because I don't want to take the position as your savior. I don't want to take the position that I have to help you and I don't want to be an enabler. So it's important even for us to be in tune with who we're helping. Should we help them? Is this the right time? Is God saying help them or not? Like, what should we do? Because you don't know where you are in their process. And sometimes us having the need to be needed, we
Mm.
overstep helping. I think I opened a can of worms with that. We
That's a
overstep
whole other
helping.
episode.
Right. But these things
Yeah,
affect our
yeah.
financial wellness, right? And they affect our mental, emotional wellness. And with everything that's going on in the world, there's so much coming at us. And with this, enormous rise of technology and AI, we constantly have information coming our way all the time. We have to self-care that we take some time, if it's 5 minutes, to shut it all down, to shut it all
Mm.
off. And I did that just this week. I did that twice this week. So again, I am a example of what I'm sharing for others to do because I do it myself. I shut
Yes.
off everything and I just spend time with my journal. I spend time praying. I spend time listening to some music. Phone is off.
Wow.
And I spend that quiet time for myself. Whenever I can get an hour, I do that. But if I can't get an hour and all I can get is 15 minutes, I take the 15 minutes. And you will find that when you do that, afterwards, you're more refreshed, rejuvenated, your mind is sharper, you're clearer. And whereas you were trying to get things done before, now you can go and just like get to it. And like
Mhm.
the ideas are flowing and the connection is like, oh, I should call so and so and I should collaborate with so and so. Whereas before, you're trying to figure everything out. So
Right.
sometimes that self care looks like relaxing, being still, and then the creative juices start flowing or the connections and things just start going, and you're able to hit your target faster
Mm.
and more effectively. So self care is worth it. It's an investment into yourself, into your mental sanity for real.
Yeah. And I love how you have provided us today with so much wisdom and your own personal experiences. I find that a lot of times people they respect us when we are authentic, when we are walking out, living out what it is that we're teaching. And so sometimes that looks like learning the hard way and then saying, I got it now. I have it now. And if now I have it, there could be plenty of people who are on this journey as well,
Yeah.
trying to figure it out and not realizing that it boils down to prioritizing themselves. And
Yeah.
then it will cause an acceleration in the thing that they are purposed to do. So I just thank you so much for helping us to realize and see what health is wealth and how it shows up in the littlest things. It doesn't have to be big, grandiose, or expensive ways that we invest in ourselves. But if it is a cost component, like you said,
Yeah.
investing in courses or coaches or any of this, are you not worth it? Are
Yes.
you
And I
not
would like
worth
to add something. For those of your viewers or listeners, and they're a parent, whether a mom or a dad, you're teaching your daughter how to care
it?
for
Mhm.
herself or not. And the same thing for your son. So it's not necessarily double standard, but specifically with female children, because how she sees you operate is what she's learning and how she's going to operate in her life, in her relationships. And so if she sees you never taking time for yourself, while she's glad that you are able to give at the level that you do, if you don't take time for herself, you teach her to do that. And so again, anything that we're misusing, we open the door for abuse. And sometimes our kind, good heart and way of doing things and wanting to give by a person who is a taker
Yeah.
takes advantage of that and
Right.
becomes the abuser. But it's like you keep giving. So we have to know the balance on that. So I just wanted to kind of come back to that because it's so important for our children. And I'm glad I made that discovery. And I'll share this as a personal note. My son, Isaiah, he's a husband and father. He is an amazing husband, not because he's my son, because
Mm.
his wife said so. And
Wow.
she thanks me for what I taught him. And
Mm.
I wonder what it would look like if I never got the revelation, years ago to take time for myself.
Mhm.
They live a balanced life. They spend time with each other. They spend time with their friends. They spend time in their hobby or their business. And of course, they spend time with the children. They're doing all the things in a way that's balanced for them and for their family, not to anyone else's standards or anything. And they self care and they go on vacations,
Mm.
like all the things. Like I am so super proud as a mom, but I just wonder, I wanted to share that example because I just wonder what would it look like if I never learned and was able to show him how to take time for myself because up to then, he was about 17, he had never seen me do that. He never saw
Wow.
me do that. And I remember one day I was going out, maybe for lunch or something, and he had like a study date. And the person says, he was upset, like, Mom, where you going? And the person was like, chill, like your mom is going out, like, let her have a life.
Right.
And he wasn't used to that. It had
Mhm.
always been about them, for them, with them, on
Right.
behalf of them. And so when I began to take time for myself, it looked weird. It looked awkward. It looked like, what in the world is going on? But
Right.
he gives that space and time for his wife. He changes diapers and all the things and lets her rest. He cooks, he cleans, he does all of those things. So it's not a male role and a female role with them. And she respects and honors him and she does the same. So they are like a great example of a healthy marriage. And can I be totally vulnerable and transparent?
Please.
I told my
Absolutely.
son, what you and your wife have, I never had that. I
Mm.
never had that kind of love
Yeah.
that was unconditional, that was so forgiving, that was so honoring. Like, even
Mhm.
as the word tells us, you honor someone above yourself. I see that in them and the way that they're raising their daughters. And it is amazing. I can tell you countless times that my daughter in love has said to me, Mama, thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. And so I want to say to those that are listening, take the time for yourselves, especially if you're in a season where you're a parent and you still have children in the house, to
Mhm.
be an example to them on how to self care, to
Right.
pull away from the world, to unplug from things, to say no to friends or whatever that may look like for your family. But do it because you are raising kings and queens. You are raising future husbands and wives, future mothers and fathers, and you want to help where you can to make sure that they're doing it right. My
Mhm.
son enjoys his wife, his marriage, his kids, and she does too. And so for me now as a grandma, or grandma,
Mhm.
as I like to say,
Uh-huh.
sitting back and watching this, I just smile sometimes. And I'm
Yep.
just so grateful for the life that they have. So I have some daughters. They're not married yet. I'm praying for them, but
Uh-huh.
I've shown it. And even my 23-year-old, who's business owner, investor, and all these things at 23.
Come
She
on.
learned. She's gone on solo trips like she's doing the darn thing at 23. So
Yeah.
again, what would that look like if I
Right.
had not shown that to her? And I showed it to her late, but I had to learn it first.
Mhm.
So she was like 10 maybe.
Mhm.
But now she's 23 and she's living the life and she's got businesses and a portfolio and just all of these things. And she takes the time for herself. And so I want to encourage those that are listening to, you're building a legacy. It's not just about now.
Correct.
And so you have to sleep because you
Yes.
have to be well, because you have to do it again tomorrow until you build it where it can sustain itself. So you can build it where it can pass on to your children. That's true legacy. That's true financial freedom. That's
Mhm.
true peace of mind. So as people are grinding and sleep is for the weak type thing, remember you are showing those around you, including your husband. You're showing him, oh, I don't need this. Oh, yes, I can do. I'm on go all the time. That's a lie. So we have to take the time for ourselves because we need it. But we're also teaching those around us that we love how to treat us.
I thank you. I truly do. For not just bearing your soul about your own experience, but showing us how it looks in those that we have modeled good or bad behavior before. I am a firm believer in modeling. And oftentimes it's not what we say, it's what they watch. You know,
Yes.
our children, our nieces and nephews, and family members and neighbors' kids.
Mhm.
It's what they watch us do. And I love how you said, hey, it wasn't always that way. I kind of felt like I came into learning what I needed to learn a little bit late, but they caught it. They caught it. And you're able to be alive and well, to watch it play out, to
Yes.
enjoy it, to receive your flowers. I absolutely adore that. And I've got to get you back on this podcast because I'm sure you have a wealth of additional wisdom to drop. But please let our listeners know where they can find you. And actually, if you also have any things that you're dropping, any new releases of any products or services, we love, love, love to support that.
I have an organization called the Black Business Networking Social Events, and we curate 4 events a year. And what that does is it helps with solopreneurs and entrepreneurs in giving them exposure in networking, in collaborating, in bartering services and things like that, and giving them a platform to sell their products and their services. And then I'm an artist, so it's all centered around the arts. People can find out about me, all my information, all my links at askdawne.com. AskDawne.com. I say it's Dawn with an E because I'm extra. I was named after my grandma. So, but that's how I say it. So it's pronounced Dawn, but there is an E on the end. So askdawne.com. I'm on all social media platforms at Dawne Horizons, DAWNE HORIZONS, Dawne Horizons. And they can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have a book that I'm working on, and
Yes.
it is a poetry book, but it details the journey, the roller coaster journey that I went on with my mom in taking care of her with dementia until
Okay.
she passed. So 10 years of my life. Yeah, that's another great talk because I almost lost it all, financially, everything, in taking care of her. And so now I'm an advocate for caregivers and helping them to balance life, to balance their wellness. And I was on the DCW News Living Local. So that was a lot of fun. And so I'm advocating for caregivers now. So again, all of my information will be at askdawn.com. And I thank you again for this opportunity and allowing me to share my life and to spill it all with,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
your listeners.
Oh, well, Dawn, you have been a blessing, not just to,
Thank
I can
you.
speak for the listeners, but to me. You've been a blessing to me just watching you over the years and also watching how authentic you are and how giving you are, but knowing that you understand that you shouldn't be given from an empty cup, but that doesn't serve you or anyone else that you're trying to serve. So I just wanted to thank you and welcome you to come back at any
Thank
time
you.
that you
I
can
would love
find
to
on
come
the
back.
calendar, because I love the work that you're doing for caregivers as well. I feel like that is a community that most people don't even think about, but we think about them, and I applaud you for championing that space and being a leader in that space. So thank you so much, and until next time on Money Talks Wealth Beyond Numbers, we'll check you all later.